Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first live YouTube class that I started. Let's just start our celebration for our community. We've just reached 1,400 people who have recently subscribed or subscribed years ago. So thank you so much. If you already subscribed, just gonna start the live on TikTok as well, so you can see we can bring some people in. If you don't know me, my name is Chubby. I'm an English fluency learning and language anxiety coach. These are the three things I help ambitious professionals, academics, or business owners, entrepreneurs, people who want to improve their career or life opportunities with being able to speak English fluently, naturally, and confidently in any conversation. And today I brought an incredibly useful lesson, which is all about how we learn phrasal verbs. A lot of people make this mistake because I know phrasal verbs, a lot of people hate them. A lot of people don't use them. They don't know how to use them. Many times they might not even be paying attention to them, or they don't understand how super simple it is for us to remember phrasal verbs. So I'm going to show you guys a really cool way for you to make sure you remember the phrasal verbs that you're learning instead of always forgetting them or not knowing when to use them. So the biggest mistake people make is that they think that the meaning of the phrasal verbs is in the verb itself. So they start learning take over, take off, take after, take up, take on, and all of these. And unfortunately, a lot of teachers are teaching phrasal verbs this way as well. This is not the most useful approach. It's actually counterproductive because, for example, in my classes, one thing I focus on, I don't want my students to feel confused, because when they are confused, they get so much more anxious and nervous and stressed, and I don't want that to happen in my classes. And the first thing I always make sure my students have is calmness and quiet, and they are having fun, because that's the only way for us to make progress with our fluency and conversation skills. When we are stressed and nervous and confused and frustrated, and we don't know how to process those emotions so we can move on, we cannot really learn or improve so fast. So I think it all starts with making sure we know that it's just confusing. Whenever we put a lot of phrasal verbs with make, a lot of phrasal verbs with take next to each other, we're going to get confused. But the meaning of the phrasal verbs, and today I'm going to show you guys, I've got some slides coming up. So let's see if I can share my screen somehow. No, I think that's here. Yeah, so it all comes down to understanding that the meaning of the word of the phrasal verb is in the particle itself. So today we'll be looking at, let's see if I can add that here, maybe make it bigger. We're going to have a look at phrasal verbs with up, and you're going to see how looking at the particle, the preposition of that phrasal verb, is going to actually help you remember it better. So many words, for example, that have the word on, you might have seen that, right? Can you guys let me know in the comments? Let's just take this away first. Just one good example, and then we can move on to phrasal verb with up. Can you guys share in the comments? Say hello if you've just joined us. Let us know what country you guys come from. If anybody has just joined us, my name is Chubby, an English fluency learning and language anxiety coach specialized in helping professionals, academics, business owners, entrepreneurs, content creators to help them improve their career opportunities. What are phrasal verbs with on that you could mention? Can you guys share in the chat? Phrasal verbs with on. Do you know some phrasal verbs with on? And I'm going to show you guys how they are related, not because of, let me just type that in. They are related not because of the verbs, make up and make on and make out and make over have no relation. But phrasal verbs with on will have some kind of relation. And finding that relation actually helps you remember. The first thing we focus on with my students when we learn vocabulary is not just understanding that, right? That's a huge mistake people make. Some people come to me and say, I understand English, but I don't speak. Yeah. How much time did you spend actually making connections, developing your knowledge of the vocabulary so you can actually walk into a conversation and remember it? So many English students, struggling English students, don't speak English because they only focus on understanding the words, when that's just the first stage of my 3-stage process. And if you're interested in details on how you can improve that process, we've got a free event coming up in about 5 days, I think, on the 20th of March, which is Explode Your Speaking Vocabulary, where I'm going to tell you the 4-stage process we talk about or we use with my students that really help them remember vocabulary so they don't waste time studying, memorizing aimlessly. They can actually make progress simply by focusing on communicating, making connections, and learning so much more effectively than just memorizing something or just watching videos, which is, we all know that's only what lazy people do. So, all right, nobody wants to share with us phrasal verbs with on. Then if you think about words like carry on or move on, these are the two that come to mind, but there's so many more. Continue on as well, we could say that. All of these have what in common, right? So when we say carry on, you should carry on speaking even if you feel nervous, to break through that fear, for example. Or we have things like go on, right? When my students cut each other, they learn, we could just say, yeah, go on, keep continuing, right? Or keep on doing something. So all of these, move on, go on, carry on, they have one thing in common, which is continue. So in a lot of phrasal verbs that have on, the meaning is going to be somehow connected to continuing. Okay, this is what I mean by focusing on learning phrasal verbs less based on the verb and more based on the particle itself, the second part. So always make sure when you learn phrasal verbs, make sense of what it could mean based on the second part of the article, okay? Because that's going to help you a lot. So we're going to jump in and have a look at this here. And I'm going to read this out for you first, so you can see examples of it. And then you'll be learning way more when you see a lot of examples. And then we'll look at the meaning of all these as well. So I'm going to just read this out. If you want to practice, we know our pronunciation is only improving if we say these things out loud, because our face has muscles we need to train, just like we need muscles to train in the gym. When you go to the gym, we need to do that with our mouth as well. So you could either shadow me or read together with me instead of just passively watching, which is, again, the big mistake a lot of people do. So today I woke up feeling a bit down, but I knew I had to cheer up to tackle the day ahead. So I decided to tidy up my living space, starting with hanging up the clothes that were strewn across the room. As I cleared up the mess, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief washing over me. With each item in its place, the cluttered feeling began to lift up, and I could finally breathe easier. After sorting out my living spaces, I realized that my schedule was clogged up with tasks, leaving me feeling overwhelmed. I needed to speed up my productivity and use up my time wisely. So I brushed up on my time management skills and made a plan to tackle each task efficiently. With a clear strategy in place, I felt ready to spruce up my day and inject some excitement into it. I decided to spice up my routine by trying out a new recipe for dinner and living up my evening with some music and relaxation. As the day went on, I could feel my mood lifting up, and by the end of it, I was feeling much more upbeat and positive. So if you read it, you paid attention to connected speech, which is something we focus a lot on when it comes to speaking naturally, especially when we focus a bit more on pronunciation. You could see that in many cases, the pronunciation of phrasal verbs is going to be cheer up, cleared up, lift up. A lot of people, struggling English students, say things like lift up or clogged up or speed up, when it's so much more natural when we pronounce these as cleared up, lift up, clogged up, or speed up, right? So if you know anything, do you guys know about connected speech? Let me know in the comments. Connected speech is all about learning how the last consonant, for example, the ed form at the end of a word, will be the first sound of the next word. So instead of saying spice up, we say spice up. We say clogged up. We say cleared up, right? That's something we can pay attention to a lot. Then let's just have a look and see what these things mean. So can you guys share in the comments? Cheer up, I'm sure it's something you guys already know, right? What does cheer up mean? Especially if you guys are on YouTube. If you're joining us on YouTube, I can see we have 2 people watching it live, but if you're watching this on a replay, I'm going to leave these on a replay as well, as an example of the incredible classes my students have access to inside our community. Feel free to leave a comment, even if you're just watching this on a replay. So cheer up, everybody knows. It's a very common word we use when we want to help our friends. We want to tell them not to worry, not to feel sad. Tidy up, I think also kind of makes sense, right? So we tidy up when we have a lot of mess in our room. And hang up, I think here is the literal meaning. So if I take my hoodie off, I would be hanging it up on the wall or on a hook or something. Now, cleared up as well. So cleared up the mess and tidy up the mess. You guys know the difference? What is the difference between clear up and tidy up? And if people are joining us from TikTok, then make sure you join us on YouTube here. We need active participants. That's what makes a class so magical. Feel free to come over, post your comments, and take an active part here in the class to make the most of it. We've got 3 viewers right now. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Let us know in the chat where you are from. So when we say clear up, what we want to focus on is having nothing where we want to work. Let's say you have your desk at work, you work in an office, you would clear up the desk so there's nothing on it. You can clearly focus and do things without getting distracted. Tidy up just means you want to put things in order, right? Like in my case, I have my books tidied up. I have my notes tidied up as well on the desk, right? So that's the difference. But as you can see, tidy up, clear up already kind of mean something in common. But we're going to focus on that a bit later once we know the meaning of all of these. Tidy up is to clean, not exactly, but it's a broader meaning of that, right? Messy. So tidy up means cleaning, but not cleaning with water, for example. Just a commenter on TikTok. And then we have lift up, which is one of my favorites. We have this quote. This is the quote of our community, the students that I work with in my paid community, which is we lift each other up, or sinking ships. Sorry, lift. Come on, forgot. Yeah, we lift each other up because it's about supporting each other in a community and learning together. So lift someone up means you make someone feel happy, you make someone feel empowered, you make someone feel encouraged so they can keep going. The power of community. And here in this case, we have the clutter feeling began to lift up, and I could finally breathe easier. So I need to join. It says, if you want to join, feel free to join us here on YouTube. there's a link in my bio where you can join the live class. And active participation. There is no comment in the comment section here. We need those courageous, brave, serious English learners here. So go ahead, and if you can identify yourself with that, if you are a professional, an entrepreneur, a serious English learner, then go ahead and join us. So lift up in this case means it's improving as well. The cluttered feeling, that mess that we had in the room has improved. And then the second paragraph says clogged up. So when something's clogged up, your schedule is clogged up with tasks. Just like when you have a sink in the bathroom, right? It can get clogged up. There's like that pipe. No, is that a pipe? Yeah. It can clog up. The reason we don't want to put hair inside or lots of different things, right, is because the pipe can clog up. So same way, your schedule can clog up as well. I work with a lot of busy people. You know, they all have full-time job. They all work from like 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning until in the evening, and then they spend time with their family. They want to do their hobbies, go to the gym, so their schedule is clogged up. They are happy to make time a few hours a week for English classes. And I think this is something we can use as well, clogged up. And I'm going to explain why it's clogged up and not clogged down or clogged on or anything else. Then we have the next one, which is speed up, right? Speed up my productivity. So you could think of ways you can speed up your English learning. Could you guys think of ways? You can also type in the comment section as well. What can speed up your progress with learning English? Especially if you've been following my content. I post almost every day on YouTube and every day quite a few times on TikTok as well. So what have you learned from my content or from any other English coach's content on how you can speed up your learning, your English learning progress as well? Can you guys type in the comments? I could speed up, or I can speed up my progress when I do what? There are so many things we can do. The reason I'm asking questions like this, and this is super important when we're learning vocabulary with my students, is that instead of just memorizing words, which is what a lot of people do, what we want to do is obviously communicate, because a language is about communication. And it's the least people focus on, right? Even native speakers don't know how to communicate in English. So when you ask questions about the vocabulary you're learning, you are going to remember it so much more effectively. There is no class we have where we don't ask questions about the vocabulary itself. So we always make sure we ask each other's questions using the vocabulary in each question. Like, what could speed up your progress with learning English? And if you're participating on TikTok as well, you guys can let us know as well. What are different ways you speed up your progress in learning English? The first one is being serious, right? People who are not serious are going to take 10, 15 years even to get to like intermediate level, simply because they are not serious. Then we have the word use up. Use up my time wisely. And I'm going to explain why it's not just use, right? Because it would make sense. I needed to speed up my productivity and use my time wisely. So why is it used up and not used? When we get to the end of this, I'm going to explain to you guys. And then the next one says, I brushed up on my time management skills. One of my favorite phrasal verbs. When sometimes this happens when we're learning English as well. So for example, in my case, I spent 3 years in Japan, and I got to a pretty good like B1 plus intermediate level in like a year and a half of studying and learning in Japanese and communicating in it. So when I left Japan, I wasn't using Japanese for about a year and a half. So I left in September 2021. And then I went back to Japan last summer, so 2023. in the summer. And sometimes I was like, oh, I forgot how to say this. I didn't forget the entire language. Like, you can never forget a language if you work hard and learn it. But eventually, I needed to brush up on my Japanese skills. And this is what brush up means. Go back to learning something, reviewing something, so you remember it better. Just like you have, when you clean your room every week, you would be cleaning, you would be brushing the dust off, brushing the, I don't know what, dirt off something to make it cleaner. So it's a really, really cool expression we can use. And then spruce up, just something we've recently learned with my students. I felt ready to spruce up my day and inject some excitement into it. So what do you guys think spruce up means? Could you make a guess? What is spruce up, or how do we use that? We're currently, with my B2 plus students, pre-advanced students, we are learning how to talk about like cities or towns, neighborhoods. And one of the things we've been learning is this word spruce up. We can use it in contexts like the government is planning to spruce up the streets with some trees, with some flowers, with some parks. So spruce up actually means, again, improve its beauty, beautify it, improve its looks as well. So you might already see some kind of repeating pattern here, right? Spruce up, speed up, cheer up. What is common in these? What do all of these mean? What is the common denominator? When you spruce something up, what happens to it? When you speed something up, when you cheer someone up, what is something that connects these all? Because this is the magic of phrasal verbs. This is how you remember phrasal verbs so much faster. So what connects these all is that they're all about improvement, right? When you're improving something, when you are making something better, a lot of the times the phrasal verbs we use will have up in it. So cheer someone up, improve their mood, spruce someone up, improve the looks, improve what it looks like. Speed up, improve its speed. So up, in many cases, is going to have something to do, any phrasal verb with up is likely to have something to do with improving. And it's easier to remember these than focusing on the verb, which is the big mistake a lot of people make. And then we have the word spice up. Again, something very useful to use. I decided to spice up my routine by trying out a new recipe for dinner. So one thing I often tell my students when we use spice up is that we need to spice up our learning, because a lot of people get so super bored with learning English because they keep repeating the same things, right? But all they do is, obviously, most people do what? They live on social media. They think, their life is going to be saved there. Most of my students don't use social media a lot because they want to spice up their experience learning English. They want to focus on diversifying it, right? Making sure we listen to podcasts, making sure we take notes of it. We have flashcards to practice with, videos to learn from, conversations to have, recordings to make. And all of these can spice up our routine. These can spice up our learning as well. And then we have the word liven up, which is another super great expression we can use, right? So liven up, you could see the example there. Livening up my evening with some music and relaxation. So you liven something up. You have the word live in it, right? So that means what we can do is improve it. Again, liven up something, you liven up your evening, meaning you improve your evening. You could liven up your life with more adventures. You can liven up your experiences, do bungee jumpings, jump off a plane, visit a country, right? You can liven up a trip. When I travel, I love traveling. I liven up my trips by, visiting old monuments or sites, temples, museums, but I also want to make sure I do some fun. So with my friends, we could go and just spend a day on a beach resort, right? Or go and spend 3 days in an all-inclusive. So we don't have to worry about food. We get the cocktails and everything, right? So living up your experience means improve your experience as well. Make it more lively, make it more full of adventures and full of actions, right? Guys, if you're watching on TikTok, can you guys tap on the screen so we can get in more people? And if you want, you can also join our live on YouTube as well. So if you could tap the screen a few times, like the live, then I would appreciate that. So we can bring in more serious English learners, professionals, academics, or anybody who's building a business, content creators who want to improve their career and life opportunities. And we have the last word, which is lift up. We've seen that before, but with a different meaning. So I could feel my mood lifting up, right? So when something lifts you up, that means that improves your mood, right? It can lift you up or it can lift your mood up as well. So if I could ask the question, I'm going to type that in. What lifts you up the most? Is it your favorite music? Spending time with friends? Or completing a project at work? Going to the gym? What lifts you up? Can you guys share in the chat, or you could share in the comments as well? Either on TikTok or on YouTube as well. What lifts you up the most? What makes you the happiest? When people ask me, I would say reading lifts me up, spending time with amazing people, that my friends, for example, that I surround myself with, even preparing activities for my students. That's the joy for any English learner that they can find in learning or in teaching English as well. That's something that's the joy. I can't speak today. That is the joy every English teacher has, that they can find in teaching as well, preparing amazing activities. So what lifts you up? What kind of people lift you up as well? We can use that thing as well. All right, so if no comments, we're gonna move on and just have a look at these. So we have 2 types of phrasal verbs with up. One of them is improving. So we had examples together: cheer up, improve someone's mood, speed up, right? Improve the speed of something. Spruce up, improve, decorate something better as well. So that's the connection, right? That's how we remember phrasal verbs with up, because they have all got something to do with improving, raising something. And then we have the other meaning in words like tidy up, eat up, use up. What else is there? Clogged up as well, which is finish. In a lot of phrasal verbs, up can mean finish something. So when you tidy something up, you finished cleaning it, you finished tidying it up. When you hang up the phone, you finish calling someone. When something gets clogged up, that's already finished as well. So end up, this is not here, but you probably know the phrasal verb end up as well. So it's so much easier to remember phrasal verbs, use phrasal verbs, when you focus on the second part of it, right? Think of other ones like drink up. It's not here as well. When we drink something up or eat something up, that means we finish it. We had to drink up our cocktail because the bar was closing. Or let's say in Japan, I used to live there for 3 years, it's rude not to eat up your food completely. Okay, so whenever you see a phrasal verb is up, that's either you can look at the meaning, a lot of examples of it, super important. That's what we do with my students, that help them remember vocabulary in a conversation. So we always either look at it and say, yes, this means finish, end up, finish up, tidy up, clog up as well. Or it means improving. Something lifts you up. You could liven up your experience. You can spice up your learning. You can brush up on your skills, right? These all mean some sort of improvement as well. Okay, so we're going to have a look at a couple of examples here as well. Guys, if you have just joined us, feel free to join on YouTube. We've got a link right down in the bio, so you can check out the link in my bio and join the live. We need comments. We need people to participate. Feel free to join us on YouTube. We've got a bit of time left, about 15 minutes. And we're going to have a look at some more practical examples here as well. So, and if anybody has just joined us and you haven't seen it yet, we've got a masterclass coming up. Anyone who feels like a professional, an academic, or a business owner, content creator, entrepreneur, you're more than welcome to join. We have a masterclass, free masterclass coming up next Wednesday at 6 p.m. GMT. And we're going to talk about everything you need to know about how to learn and remember vocabulary, so you don't struggle when you walk into a conversation looking for the perfect word. You don't freeze up not knowing what to say because words automatically come out of your mouth. If you're interested and serious about learning to speak English, you're more than welcome to join our masterclass. I myself have learned, I'm not a native speaker. If you guys know my story, then you know I'm originally from a small country called Hungary. Speaking English fluently changed my entire life. So I based my entire business on helping other serious English learners like I was to speak English fluently and confidently. So I'm going to share everything that worked for me, or even that has been working for me when I'm learning other languages like Japanese or Korean. And you will get the blueprint, you will get the 4-step method, exactly what I do, what my students do, so they don't forget vocabulary. And part of that is focusing more on the meaning. So make sure you check the link. There is a link in the description right under the YouTube class, the YouTube video, and feel free to join us. If you're watching this on a replay past the 20th of March, you might be able to get access to the replay as well in a bundle. So if you're interested, just email me at chubby@smartspeakenglish.com, and I'll send you the link to the bundle as well. Or you can download the new PDF I just created last week, which is called 17 Habits of Successful English Learners. If you want to be a successful English learner, if you don't just want to be, but you commit to being successful at learning English, I literally wrote down 17 of the most common and most useful things you can do every single day, every single week, every single month until you get to fluency in English. So make sure you download that as well. There's a link right under the live video here. And then we're going to go back and see a couple of examples here as well. So one of the things about remembering vocabulary, which is something I'm going to talk about, is seeing a lot of examples. A lot of people don't remember vocabulary because they don't review. So part of the program that I created is all about providing my students with a lot of reviewing materials. We either review in class, or they can review in daily worksheets. They might even have, sometimes I create review videos, review podcast episodes, everything about making sure my students remember. But we need to review. We need to go back and see how those expressions are used. Now, the biggest mistake people make, and that's why they don't remember, is that they want to memorize. For them, reviewing is like looking at a list of words. That doesn't work. That never helps us remember things. What helps us remember things is seeing, hearing, and using the vocabulary in its context. When you do that consistently, you'll be able to remember that vocabulary. So this is partly why the first time we learn new vocabulary, I don't force my students to speak, because first they have to see how it works. No one can use expressions or phrases that they haven't got used to yet, that haven't been carved into their mind, basically, in the long term. So don't expect to speak, and use these things the first time you see them, right? Go back and review, make time for having conversations using these expressions intentionally, so in real life conversations you can remember them so much quicker. So that's part of the reason we look at these examples as well. So we've got a few examples here, and I'm gonna probably disappear for a while. Oh no, I can put myself somewhere here as well. Yeah. So every Saturday morning, I tidy up my room to start the weekend fresh. Can you guys share a thumbs up if you do that? Do you tidy up your room to start the weekend fresh on a Saturday? How often do you guys tidy up your rooms? Can you share in the comments? You could see, like in my case, I tidy up if I'm not staying in a hotel, which is what often happens when I travel the world. I tidy up my bedroom every Saturday, sometimes Sunday. How often do you guys tidy up your bedrooms? If you're joining us from TikTok, feel free to join us on YouTube as well, so we can start using these phrases and expressions, right? Remember, use it or you lose it. Very easy rule to remember about learning vocabulary here, right? How often do you tidy up your room? Awesome. So Mr. B says, thank you. I tidy up my consultation table every morning. Beautiful. Awesome. Let me just pin that. Thank you. This is how we make comments. And then we have the second one, which says, I hang up. Don't know if I can, oops, if I can put the camera closer so you guys can actually see it. So after the call, I hang up and continue my work. So hang up, I think it's a pretty common one. Can you guys tell me what is the opposite of hang up? So you hang up the call. That is the end of the call, right? What is the opposite of that? What do we do when our phone is ringing? It's also with up. What is the opposite of hang up? Hang up the phone. Very good, Beauty. Pick up. Awesome, right? So you pick up the phone. Then the next one is the weather cleared up just in time for our picnics. Do you ever use that? So you know when the weather is a bit cloudy, but then the sky clears up. That's an improvement again, right? We see the meaning up in the particle, not in the first verb, right? So one of the big things I want you to remember is that we don't learn vocabulary based on the verb. So any teacher, whoever teaches you, take on, take over, take after, take in, take off, cannot teach you well. They are confusing you. They cannot teach vocabulary in a way that you remember it. I never want to confuse my students. So focus on the particle, right? Focus on up, because all of these either mean finished or improve, right? Any phrasal verb that you come across is likely to have something to do with improvement or finishing. And it's going to be so much easier for you to remember. Awesome. Mr. B says, always hang up my phone when I'm working. Brilliant, brilliant. Yes, we need to. We don't have time for people's gossips all the time. We need to focus on ourselves, on our work. So clear up is what the sky does, okay? When after rain, after some sort of cloudy spell as well. And then we have clogged up. My inbox is clogged up with spam emails. I need to unsubscribe from some lists, right? The water cleared up after the flood. Yes, as well. That's a great one. Thank you, Beauty. Love your comments. This is what brave, courageous people do, action takers. They use the phrases and expressions. So the water can clear up, the sky can clear up, the weather can clear up as well. So whose inbox isn't clogged up? That's a super useful one as well, right? What else can clog up? The sink can clog up. The what else can the toilet can clog up? Obviously, we can unclog it. And that's basically what clogged up means. Most of us, I think, have our inbox clogged up with a lot of emails. I don't read all of my emails. I read the emails people send to my business emails, obviously. Any student who sends me an email to the emails I send out, I read them and reply to them, but not, emails from random people, but they are clogging up my inbox. And then we have the word jumbled up. Now, the instructions were jumbled up, so I had to read them a few times to understand. Can anybody guess what the meaning of jumbled up could be? The instructions were jumbled up, so I had to read them a few times to understand. Yay, someone liked the video on YouTube. That's great, thank you. The first like on the class. So when something is jumbled up, it's messy, it's confusing. And it's up again because it's finished. It's already in a finished state. And then we have the next one, which is don't use up all your energy on one task. Pace yourself throughout the day, right? Productivity when it comes to learning English is super important. People who learn English super fast are just simply super productive, right? They know how to spend their time. They don't waste their time on social media all the time. They know how learning is less about understanding words and more about doing, more about reviewing and communicating. So they don't use up all their energy and time learning English ineffectively, right? So use up means you use all of it. Okay, use all of it. So another example could be I needed to buy another package of data for my phone because I used up my data. So let's say every month you have 50 gigabytes to use, but because you spend so much of your time FaceTiming your friend, you would use up the data after, I don't know, 10 days or 10 days after starting your data plan. So don't use it up. Otherwise, you will have to pay again, right? So that's what used up means. Mr. B, some of the sentences in the essay are jumbled up. Excellent. Yes. That would give you an IELTS 6 or 5, right? If your sentences are jumbled up. And you'll probably have time for the last, for number 9 as well. So she spiced up her outfit with a colorful scarf. So spice up, when you spice something up, that means you decorate it, you add something to it, right? Let's say, you could see, these are all the books I read in my childhood. I was a great reader. I love reading, and I always recommend reading as a great way to improve your vocabulary. We are soon going to start a book club inside my community. People who love reading books, we can discuss it, learn vocabulary from it, improve grammar and everything. But as you could see on the shelves, it isn't just books, right? So I spice the shelf up with some decoration. So there's like that dinosaur, there's that some sort of Santa Claus. This here, we've got a shoe here, right? So I spice it up. I make sure I decorate it a bit, right? But you can spice up your day, right? How do you spice up your day? You start in the gym, working out, getting all the energy so you can do amazing things. You spice up your day with a call with your friends. You spice up your day with some creative cooking, right? So how do you guys spice up your day? Can we just answer that last question? How do you guys spice up your day? You could say, I spice up my day by da 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 da. I spice up my days by, I don't know, watering the plants. I spice up my day by going out and working from a cafe. I spice up my day by going to the shopping center and buying 3 pairs of shoes. How do you guys spice up your day? Can you share in the comments? How do you spice up your day? I'm gonna type that in. I'm gonna wait for the comments. So this is something I'm going to be starting. So now that my YouTube channel has achieved another small milestone, 1,400 subscribers. Thank you so much if you're subscribing. I hope you're getting so much value out of these. I'm going to be having live classes from next week on, every Tuesday in the evening GMT time and Fridays in the morning GMT time. So both people in Europe, in the Americas, and in Asia can benefit from these incredible classes, and they will be mostly focusing on either some important grammar points, vocabulary, communication, so you get a sense of what are the type of classes that actually help you build your fluency, instead of just randomly, passively watching videos, which is what most people do. Actively engaging in a class and making it interactive is what actually helps my students make super fast progress with their fluency. And if you're interested in more, we're going to have an incredibly great masterclass coming up. Loads of value, my entire framework that has 4 steps. We talked about the first 2. Inside the Explode Your Speaking Vocabulary Masterclass, massive value, an hour and a half. It's going to be about 75 minutes of me talking about the method, the mindset we need, the strategies my students use so they can make a lot of progress. And we will have about 20 minutes for Q&A. So if you come and you ask your questions, people who come live, they will have the opportunity to ask a question based on what helped me become an English fluency coach, and also what helped me working with people in the last 16 years, learning English and speaking English by the age of 20 as a Hungarian native speaker and non-native English speaker. So you will have massive value on that masterclass. Make sure you check out the link right under the description. There's going to be a link in my bio very soon on my TikTok as well. And if you haven't yet, you can also download the PDF I created, which is about 17 habits any successful English learner does so they can make progress. If you are the type of person who struggles with learning to speak English, you've been trying everything, maybe even hiring a native speaker teacher, going to a grammar course, signing up for a grammar course, but you feel like you're still not confident, you don't remember vocabulary, you freeze up, you still keep thinking about your mistakes, then this PDF, 17 Habits of Successful English Learners, is going to be a life changer, all for free. So check out the link in the description below. And when you download it, let me know in an email which of the 17 habits you're going to start working on. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us either on TikTok or on YouTube, and hope to see you guys soon. Make sure you set up a notification so you get all the notifications whenever I go live, either on TikTok or on YouTube. And if anyone has any questions, you're watching this on a replay on YouTube, feel free to pop your questions in the comments and I'll be back to you. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. Remember, always be focusing on being a great learner. Take action, stay consistent, be brave, and stay focused. Take care, guys.